President Trump was in Ohio Friday night to rally supporters as the midterm elections draw closer. The president has held 4 rallies in the past week and will hold one Saturday night in Kentucky. At those rallies, Mr. Trump has frequently attacked what he calls the Democratic mob and warned supporters about a Democratic takeover in November.
Republicans believe in the rule of law, not the rule of the mob. That's what it is. It's a mob. The people of Ohio can save America from radical Democrats. They become radicalized. I mean, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, seriously. No, seriously. She's becoming mainstream. You believe that one? You now have a champion fighting for you in the White House. But I need your help this election day, November 6th, to stop the radical Democrat mob from trying to take it away. You don't give power to an angry left-wing mob.
If you allow the wrong people to get into office, things could change. They could change, and they could change fast. And we're not going to let that happen. We can't let that happen. It can go very quickly. It can change very fast. We can't let that happen. You don't hand matches to an arsonist, and you don't give power to an angry left-wing mob, and that's what they've become.
Joining me now from Boston is CBSN political contributor, Boston Herald columnist, and politics editor for NHJournal.com, Michael Graham. Hi, Michael. So clearly the White House feels that branding Democrats as a mob is a smart strategy. We were listening to the president just tonight, and he was saying about the Dems, these are bad people. He said, I've been going around saying Democrats are the party of crime, and no one even challenges me on this, even the fake news media. So 2 questions here. First, how are Republicans rationalizing this when crowds at the president's rally frequently chant, lock her up? And secondly, do they fear that this could be turned on its head?
Well, the way that Republicans feel, and I happen to know about this because I wrote a book about the Tea Party in 2010. The title is literally, That's No Angry Mob, That's My Mom. And it was about how frustrated people on the right were to show up at these rallies to complain about government spending and the stimulus and Obamacare, and then see the headlines that mobs fill street. And they're like, well, I'm sorry. And the thing about the Tea Partiers were, because of the demographic, to be honest, these were older folks. They were kind of polite folks. They would have a rally, and it would be cleaner when they left the park than when they got there. And so they were very frustrated. And so the Republican base, the talk radio right, they love this because they feel like, kind of it's a turnabout, it's fair play. Also, I don't want to overstate this, but it definitely had an impact on people to see the scenes they saw around the Kavanaugh hearing. I don't mean people protesting, holding signs. I mean, people pushing into offices, taking over the Hart office building, I believe it was, shoving into elevators, screaming at senators. Senator Perdue of Georgia was chased into the men's room at Reagan National. And for a segment of voters, that makes them very uncomfortable. And so when you say they're an angry mob and they see those pictures, I think that's the rationalization. Is there anger coming out of the Trump events? Oh, my gosh, absolutely. Are there people screaming? Have there been times where Trump supporters have absolutely, got across the line? Certainly. But what they see is that again and again, you have large groups of very angry people, whether it's the Antifa people, and this is not fair to the legitimate protesters who were speaking out at the Kavanaugh protests. But for folks at home watching on TV, it's hard to differentiate between the Antifa people, the people who are crazy screaming people, and the legitimate protesters. And the Republicans see this as a win. It's so interesting. You keep quoting Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell is playing this card. They clearly see this as a political winner in November. Well,
it will be interesting to see if it works out that way. Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke's Senate campaign raised $38 million in the third quarter, shattering Senate fundraising records. He is trailing Senator Ted Cruz in the latest polls by about 6 points. So whether he wins or not, though, has he become a sort of thorn in Republicans' sides already?
Well, he's going to be a celebrity. I think you're going to see a lot more of him. I mean, I happen to think he has a lot of great natural political talent. but Texas is Texas. And this is something that a lot of Republican consultants I've been talking to the past few days have been kind of snickering at. Yeah, sure, keep spending $40 million in Texas. Don't spend it in Arizona or Nevada, because it's. But yeah, I mean, and this one I really do lay at the feet of the fawning media. How many write-ups can you do about Beto O'Rourke in the New Yorker magazine? Once again, they're not doing them in Texas. They're doing them in New York and Chicago and L.A. And so the Hollywood crowd and the New York crowd sends them all this money. And the fact is, Texas is a red state. Senator Cruz is doing very well, for example, with Hispanic voters, because Republicans do well with Hispanic voters, because in Texas they tend to be kind of business ownery Republicans. Right. And so it's I have not seen this much hope from Republicans about the Senate at any point. They really are starting to tell me that they think that the notion of losing the Senate is now gone, and they are starting to anticipate, can we add 1, 2, maybe 3 seats to the Senate, which would be an amazing event for a first midterm. It really would. But do the math. Do the math. Heitkamp is done. She's not going back, so North Dakota's a pickup. Maybe Republicans lose Nevada, maybe, but they're almost certainly now not going to lose Tennessee and Arizona. Congresswoman Sinema has these, kind of anti-war protesty things she did in the past that are now coming out, and it's when you're insulting the people of Arizona, I don't want to live in Arizona. That's just, that's going to be a problem. So if you, assuming though you have a 1-for-1 loss right there, well, if Republicans pick up either Montana or Florida or Missouri or Indiana, all of which are in the margin of error, every one of those, if they pick up 1, 2, 3, or 4, is an increase in their majority, and that's looking very realistic right now.
I just want to go back to Texas for a second, because I've lived in Texas when I was younger, and I do think that people underestimate the fact that it could one day turn blue. And I'll tell you why. It has some very solid liberal pockets. It really does. Absolutely. And you mentioned the Hispanic vote, and yes, there is a solid conservative Hispanic vote in Texas, but there also are a lot of Hispanics there that have been upset by the recent immigration policies. So it's not a given in my mind that Texas will always be red.
I'm not saying always. I'm just saying that right now it is clearly red. And I think one of the smartest analysis I heard this week was someone said, look what's happening. Arizona's a kind of a reddish state. It's getting more red. The Republicans seem to be getting some traction. McSally. Nevada is still very tight because it's kind of a bluish state. And so Senator Dean Heller is going to be in a fight for his life down to the very end. In other words, things are, despite all the Sturm and Drang and trauma and Trump and crazy, red states are getting, North Dakota is acting like North Dakota. And Republicans just have, this has nothing to do with Trump. This is not political strategy. They had a really good Senate map going in. 10 Democrats who represented states that Trump carried. And so if you didn't have Trump at these horrible negatives, if he had been smarter in the past 2 years about how he talked so that he could keep more people on board, I think Republicans would rightly be expecting to pick up 4 or 5 seats this time. Now, because of all the mess, it's going to be kind of a miracle if they pick up 1, but they're hoping. The House, well, I don't want to be the mean guy, but
let's talk about the House, because there's such close races in traditionally Republican states, and it is looking like the Republicans will lose control of the House. Are party leaders panicking about that, or are they still holding out hope when it comes to the House?
So every time I think that the fever is going to break and the Republicans are just going to kind of admit, okay, we're going to lose the House, what can we save? Start doing triage. Another poll will come out. We had this new Gallup poll that, the Republican brand is the hottest it's been in 7 years with likely voters, because older people are likely voters, and right now older people like Republicans. And so that keeps them from admitting that it's almost, in the year of Trump, I never say never, but it's almost certain the Republicans are going to lose the House. It would be completely bizarre from a historic standpoint. First term party that controls the White House and Congress inevitably has a really lousy first midterm. And that's, once again, separate from Trump. Then you add the Trump factor. New Hampshire, which I'm very familiar with, we have the swingiest seat in the country is the 1st district. It's an open seat. The Republicans should be competitive there because it's gone back and forth 5 times in the past 6 cycles. Doesn't look like it's really competitive. And when those are the seats that you can't get competitive in, then think about the seats that aren't as swingy, that trend Democrat that Republicans have managed to win in the past 1 or 2 cycles. It's just going to be very, very tough.
Well, no doubt this is going to be one of the closely watched midterms in recent memory. I want to move on to Kanye West's Thursday rant in the Oval Office. And
I'm sorry. Are you talking about future UN secretary, ambassador Kanye West?
It did seem look like he was angling for a cabinet position, and there are some open. So I'm just going to say that. But you call it a little bit of the the celebritization of politics. Right. What exactly do you mean by that? And is this the future that we're stuck with?
Yeah, I wonder if it's the future, because I wonder if these celebrities are going to figure out what I think President Trump figured out, which is running for the job and talking about having the job is a lot more fun than doing the job. I mean, if you took the average Hollywood, for example, Alec Baldwin is going to be hosting or featured at a New Hampshire event on Sunday. So people are talking, ooh, Alec Baldwin running for president. But if he had to actually spend a week being president, he'd want to go back and do Saturday Night Live and hang out with his friends. It's a lot more fun. Kanye West, an influence leader. I don't think anyone thinks that they see him running for actual office because of the work that has to be done. Now, the counter argument to that, and I've actually gotten some interesting pushback from some friends on this, is look at Trump. His theory is that he doesn't really have to be president in the sense of like you would expect, with the book and you go through the memos every day like, Bush and Obama did. He just shows up as the TV president, and then all those people whose names he vaguely remembers who are at the cabinet
do the work,
and
right.
The agencies, they actually do the work. It's almost like, there are parliamentary countries like Ireland and others that have a president who's kind of a procedural. He's really there just to kind of cut ribbons, and that's how Trump is governed. So I'm afraid that actually may lure people in. But if you're looking at the work of running and the work of doing it, the work ethic of the celebrity world, where people just do what you want, is not a natural fit. This is the world of persuasion, and this kind of frustrates me about the Trump era, is on the left and right, people are so polarized, they've given up on the idea of persuading someone, of saying, hey, look, I know we disagree on X, Y, and Z, but let's find some space. Celebrities, whether you're a high celebrity lawyer like Michael Avenatti, or whether you're a high celebrity, a basketball owner like Mark Cuban, you're used to people doing what you tell them to do. And you're used to leading by, kind of, I'm going to go this way and you must come with me. Man, I'd really love to have somebody who starts, from the premise of, let's sit down and talk.
I know.
What can we do together? And I don't know that celebrities do a lot.
No, it's true.
Celebrities yell because their half-cap, decaf cappuccino was not 112 degrees as they requested.
I agree, but this is a country, it constantly amazes me how much we love our celebrities, and you have to remember that Donald Trump was a celebrity first, a politician second. Very interesting stuff. Michael Graham, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.